Breaking news first, right here on the WHS11 night team as we bring you a live look at the Sherman Mitten Bridge upper deck. We got the news tonight after being closed to traffic since last Friday for several days. The Sherman Mitten renewal team is saying they expect to reopen the bridge tomorrow. Now that update came to us late tonight, but it also came with no specific time for the reopening. Now here's what we know. Crews began repairing floor beam alignment issues today. Once those repairs are finished, the renewal team says they can safely reopen the top and the bottom decks to traffic, 2 lanes in each direction. The program manager says crews and engineers will be working throughout the night tonight, and a spokesperson for the renewal team says they are not able to provide a specific time for the reopening at this moment, so stay tuned. As we like to say, we will keep you posted. And hello everybody, thanks you for joining us tonight. I'm Doug Proffitt. Now to the other big story tonight. U of L coach Kenny Payne is asked about his future after tonight's tournament loss and compares the rebuilding effort he faced to the Titanic. Our sports director Ken Spencer also asked him the question all of Louisville wants to know, and Kent is joining me live now from Washington, D.C. Kent, do we know anything tonight about the coach's future, and what about the team? Are they coming home to Louisville tonight?
Hey, Doug, we don't have anything official yet in regards to Kenny Payne, but make no mistake about it, there is a real feeling and belief here inside Capital One Arena that Louisville will be making a coaching change within the next few days. And after the Cards lost 94-85 to North Carolina State in the ACC tournament, I asked Kenny Payne about his future. With the season now over, have you been told anything about your future as head coach with the program?
No, I have not.
It may not be official, but Kenny Payne's time as Louisville's head coach may be nearing an end, even though it's clear he believes he deserves a 3rd year.
When I walked into the program as the new head coach, I talked about I needed everybody on the same page. We sort of forgot that. I talked about how I'm not going to let you blame me. I'm not standing up here by myself. I need all of Louisville with me. We sort of forgot that. I talked about it's going to take time, and I'm going to watch and see who jumped on and off the Titanic. We sort of forgot that. I talked about, I gave a specific time. I said 3 or 4 years, and I'm good with it. That's what I believed at that time, and that's what I still believe it takes to fix this program.
Tuesday night was also a moment when Payne got a few things off his chest.
I love Louisville. I played here. I won a national championship here. This is not a job for me. Contrary to those who criticize, I don't sleep at night thinking about my brothers, the former players that played here, who had no access to the program. Should not be talking about this right now, but I have to say this. These young men, to play in a program where there's so much scrutiny, is unfair to them. They deserve to play in a program where people are uplifting them to be better, not fighting and tearing them down to make them question how good they are. Then you make my job impossible.
It did affect me a little bit when I heard the fans boo us, our own fans, because I feel like we're, saying like 19, 20, 21-year-olds, and that's something I never experienced, and I didn't know why they were booing us. I thought we're college kids, they're supposed to be there for us.
Payne believes in his 2 seasons, despite a 12-52 record, he's provided a foundation for the future.
Whether I'm the coach or not, I can look in the mirror and say I gave it everything I had to help this program.
Now, generally when Louisville loses in a tournament setting, the Cards will head back home that evening. That's not the case this year. Louisville still remains here in D.C. They're not planning to head home until tomorrow morning. Doug.
So everybody then, it's led to speculation about timing on when this could happen. If this is the end of the line for Coach Payne, Kent, we've been down this lane before. How would it all play out this week?
Well, here's a kind of an odd point at the moment, because U of L AD is currently in Indianapolis. He is on the selection committee when it comes to the NCAA women's tournament. So possibly any firing in this case may not occur person to person, face to face. It'll just kind of be interesting to see how this does play out. But I think everybody expects a decision sometime within the next 24, 48 hours.
All right, Ken, thank you very much. We're going to have another report from Kent coming up in just a few minutes in tonight's sports, and that's what the players said about Coach Kenny Payne tonight. Now, in depth tonight, here's what we've reported about Kenny Payne's 6-year contract when he was hired on March 18th, 2022. His current salary is $3.3 million a year. The current buyout on his contract stands at $8 million. It drops to $6 million on April 1st of this year. Keep in mind, U of L is still paying out former U of L basketball coach Chris Mack. His $4.8 million severance is being paid in installments of $133,000 a year until January 31st, 2025. More news now on the WHAS11 night team. One person sent to the hospital tonight after Metro Police say they were hit by an LMPD cruiser. It happened about 7 o'clock tonight near 4th and St. Catherine. That's Old Louisville. An LMPD spokesperson says that person was in the crosswalk when they were hit at a low speed by the police officer. We're told the person had an injured wrist. Happening tonight, Floyd County, Indiana will have to make a decision soon about the future of its EMS service. New Chapel EMS is currently the county's ambulance provider, but their contract is set to expire in May. Tonight, Floyd County commissioners were expected to make a recommendation, but decided to wait. WHAS 11 night team's Taylor Woods and photojournalist Addie Hill covered the meeting. Taylor?
Well, Doug, Floyd County has renewed its same contract with New Chapel EMS since 2017. But this year, the county is considering several options. And tonight, commissioners say in order for a final decision to be made, they must have every proposal to see which option is most safe and cost effective.
Floyd County is facing the clock. Their current county-wide EMS contract with New Chapel EMS is set to expire May 31st. So far, commissioners have been considering options from AmeriPro Health and New Chapel EMS, along with a hybrid ambulance service through local fire departments.
Time is of essence, and so that's what we're facing, unfortunately. How we structure things and stuff to the fire departments and what they do. But ultimately, it's a service that we give the community.
Floyd County commissioners have only received offers from AmeriPro Health and New Chapel EMS. New Chapel has been at the center of a recent controversy because it was once led by the former Clark County Sheriff Jamie Knoll, who is under investigation.
I'd like to see an organizational chart. I'd like to see what geographic area those vehicles and those crews are going to be responsible for.
Since there was no data or costs provided to compare to the current New Chapel EMS contract, it was hard for the commissioners to make a recommendation.
I ask that the EMS Advisory Board hold off on making any recommendations until all options are vetted.
Is it in the firehouses? Is it fire and EMS? If it is fire and EMS, you have to think about how many more fire personnel we're going to have to hire.
Response times were one of the biggest concerns for most people. Sean Bostic says he lost a loved one who was being transported by New Chapel EMS in 2016.
I would ask that you all send word up to not recommend New Chapel.
Bostic says he's pleased the commissioners decided not to make a recommendation during this meeting.
Let them look at the other alternatives versus a private-based EMS system. Look at the hybrid partial private, partial fire-based.
In the end, Southern Indiana residents like Matt Owen says he just wants to see sustainability in service.
If another service provider is better suited to take that on, we're all for it.
And tonight, Floyd County commissioners agreed to follow up on this contract proposal at their next meeting on March 21st at 5 p.m. In studio, Taylor Woods, WHAS 11 night team on your side.
Taylor, thank you very much. The first man arrested in the Crystal Rogers case in Bardstown has now added his name to a petition to move his trial out of Nelson County when it happens. Joseph Lawson's attorneys are arguing that he cannot get a fair trial there in Bardstown and would like it moved to Boyd of Eastern Kentucky or Davis County, that's Owensboro. Brooks' father and Joseph's father, Steve Lawson, Brooks Houck, and Joseph's father, Steve Lawson, have made the same request. All three are expected to be back in court on March 21st. The man accused of shooting and killing a 15-year-old girl facing a judge for the first time today and getting a large bond. 20-year-old Adrian King is charged with murder in the death of 15-year-old Dovia Purnell at the Parkway Place apartment complex on January 29th. In arrest records, police say surveillance video showed King walking toward Purnell's home that day with a gun in his hand and later showed the two walking together before the shooting was reported. Investigators say the two were involved in a sexual relationship and King had posted on social media that he was going to kill her. King is facing other charges, including sexual misconduct. Judge Ann Delahanty today set his bond at $1 million. Happening tonight, News Since 6. Is Kentucky ready to restore passenger train service statewide? Well, the state transportation department is leading the talks about it, offering up potential railway plans at a meeting held in Louisville tonight. WHAS 11 night team photojournalist Elijah McKenzie checked it out to see who is all aboard.
It's actually a requirement that the states have a statewide rail plan. It really identifies the infrastructure we have for both freight and passenger rail in Kentucky. The difference is with our passenger rail, we don't have as much infrastructure. We have a little bit in western Kentucky and a little bit in eastern Kentucky. So that's what we're trying to gather with these public meetings, is get people's input on where should passenger rail expand, how should it increase.
Purple. The purple. Before moving back to Louisville, I lived in Philadelphia for several years, and that was one of the best things about being in Philadelphia, was that I could go to New York or DC or other places along the Amtrak Northeast Corridor. Do that one. Okay, good work. I really enjoy the experience of taking the train. Prefer it over driving for sure.
They can say, look, this project is identified as a state need, and it gives it more weight when they're looking for federal funds.
The Federal Railroad Administration's long distance studies, all of that's coming into fruition, so this is a really great time for states that don't have Amtrak service or limited service to get on that map. I think it's reduction of freight risks, freight collisions, derailment, and that's pretty essential to the well-being of all Kentuckians.
Oh, good job. Thank you. Needing to rely on a car all the time in Louisville was one of the big downsides. I picked this one. You picked that one? Just that inability to get to places even like Cincinnati that's really close, or Lexington, without having to sit in traffic, drive a long way, worry about parking when you get there. That's really a pain.
Restoring the days of the railroad here in Louisville and across the state. If you'd like to share your thoughts about it, there's an online survey available. And we've got a link for you at WHAS11.com.